So here's the situation at the end of the first turn. It is just at the end of that 11:20 turn. It's around 11:40 now. Everything has moved. You can see here the French Second Corps under Reille has begun to move towards Hougoumont. Bachelou's division on the right, Foy in the centre, and Jerome on the left. They're pushing up quite rapidly. They have been supported by some heavy cavalry in the rear here, and some light cavalry, which will move around and protect their flanks and keep an eye out in this open area here. In the centre here we have the 6th Corps, which has moved up to take the place really vacated by Bachelou's division. They're going to keep an eye on the centre ground here. Historically, these guys were shifted to the southeast in defence of Plassenois, but we're going to try to, well, in the very least, keep them in the centre here so they can be a bit more flexible in their use. The centre, again, remained pretty quiet. There was a bit of brief movement here, so some heavy cavalry began to shift to the left. The Guards cavalry, light cavalry activated, and they shifted up a bit. And this light cavalry up here, under Jacquinot, activated, and they tried to push forward. And they were countered by some, what are they? Some light dragoons? Yeah. So there's a sort of brief standoff by light cavalry over to the left. The French tried to move in and begin to occupy this area. This is a pretty nice defensive area if the Allied forces can move in. Now, they decided not to. It just stretches their line out too far in this direction. So the French thought they'd move in there and keep an eye in this area with the light cavalry sort of patrolling. But the Allies decided to counter that. And so, as I said, this brief skirmish, brief standoff rather. In response to this French move, as I said, the British Guards decided to try to move towards Hougoumont. So they've started to move up. Not much movement. There's a brief fire exchange here. It's about the only fire exchange that we had in this first turn. The Dutch-Belgians have moved up from their starting position up to here, again just occupying a better position on the right. Hanoverians also moving up. We had some movement here. This was Hill's division activation. He again moved all those men up, again with their view of occupying the space vacated by the Guards. The Brunswickers are trying to shift forward, but they're part of Picton's corps, and he's all the way over here, so he can activate the entire division if he can get onto Olfermans. He's there. So Picton needs to move over here to activate that entire Brunswicker contingent. Some heavy the horse artillery, which started in the centre here, shifted up into the lines. Again, the view here is that, well, they're pretty flexible, but they, for the time being, will keep an eye out in this centre area here, see what happens. We also move some artillery. Here it is. Begin to shift up towards La Haye-Sainte. Otherwise, it was pretty quiet in the centre, mostly just some reshuffling of those positions over in the right in response to that French movement. And there you have the first 20 minutes of the battle. Interesting, both, I guess the French look like they're pushing on their left and on their right, whilst keeping their centre relatively static around here. We shall see how that develops. They're going to have to get their artillery further up onto this hill here if they're going to have any effect. They're too far away where they are at the moment, so we might try to do that in the near future.